All right. Good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock Eastern, and we are ready to get this show on the road. My name is Matt Johnson. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Continuum, and we're super grateful that you decided to spend some time with us for this Lunch and Learn webinar with our founder, Alex Witcpalek. I'm going to introduce him in a few minutes, but before we get started, I just wanted to get you guys up to speed on a couple of housekeeping items. Number one, that is that we have a Q&A feature enabled today. That is at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions as we go through this presentation, I will be answering those the best I can, and hopefully we'll share some of those questions with the entire group at the end. The other thing is that we're going to have a couple of poll questions as we go through this. We want this to be interactive. We want to start a conversation here with the presentation today. So we don't want it to just be all of us talking. We want to stop and ask questions and have you think about the content that we're going over. And then we have a AI readiness assessment. This is a pretty cool tool that we put together for distributors and manufacturers who are considering, how do I get started with AI? There's going to be a survey link at the end of this presentation that you'll be able to go in there, take the readiness assessment, and share that with your team. I'll be sending out that email at the end of the presentation. There'll also be a link to watch this on demand. So if for whatever reason you have to step away, or if there's somebody else in your on your team who needs to see this, they'll have a link that they can watch this later. And then finally, for the first 12 attendees who have joined us here today, I'm excited to send you guys a gift card for DoorDash so that you can enjoy some lunch on us maybe this coming week. So as we get those out to you, I will be in touch to get those in your hands. But thank you so much for joining us today. I know Alex is the founder and CEO of Continuum. He's excited to share some of these thoughts with you today. So Alex, without further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Everybody, super excited to have you here. Look at this. People keep trickling in. I think we're up over 220 attendees. If you're in the distribution, manufacturing, or supply chain space, you are certainly in the right spot for today's conversation. And I'm excited to go through. If any of you saw my LinkedIn post, my LinkedIn teaser to this, couple of different things. One, I had a much prettier background. I was in Southwest Florida on vacation when I created that. But the other thing is you probably heard me say in today's webinar, what you're going to get is very tactical ways that you can implement AI, but also strategic ways that you can start to think about AI and really the impact that that can have on your distribution, manufacturing, and supply chain organization. And I preface this, so many distributors, so many want to dip their toe into AI, and they just don't know where to start. And I think also there's a lot of promise to AI, but the practicality still can feel a little out of reach. And so today we're going to really break down the barriers in ways that you can really start to put the mental framework together for how you can actually start to achieve results, lay the groundwork so you can start to play offense with your AI strategy for what is candidly a somewhat less adoptive group when it comes to new age cutting technology. And so super excited about this. Everybody stay on, because at the end of this, Matt's going to send out a link. We have an AI readiness assessment that we send out at the end of this. So stick on to the end. The AI readiness assessment, we were actually at AI for Distributors conference held by Distribution Strategy Group about a month ago now. and I did a seminar very similar to the one we're going to go through here today. And it was kind of funny because I left that, and walking back to the booth, there was a trail of people following me because they wanted this AI readiness assessment. This AI readiness assessment is a great tool for your team to use. Send it out to your executive leadership group. Send it to your steering committees within your organization, and start to think about where are you at in your AI journey, and how do we start to put the mental constructs in place for how we can actually go execute on what that strategy is. If we don't have the strategy, let's start a step earlier. Let's start to work on that strategy. Today, we're going to dive right in. We're going to go through this content. I'm super excited. As Matt mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of Continuum. Today is not only about Continuum. Today is more about an offer to the industry of how we can help your business move forward. But a shameless plug, we are the first and only B2B returns, warranties, and repairs network built for distribution and manufacturing companies. So how can we completely connect the supply chain in the reverse logistics way, implementing, leveraging, and utilizing AI in very tactical ways, which set you up for long-term strategic avenues for how you can really change your business fundamentally. Super excited about what we have going on here at Continuum. We're growing extremely fast, and we have a great team and even better customers that we work with. If you're in the supply chain, you don't know about us, we'd love to engage with you, chat with you, and have a conversation. So getting in and stepping our toe into kind of where are we at with AI today, we're going to go through a background just over the past 12 months of how fast things have moved with AI. And that's really just the very beginning. I think this is Moore's law. The amount of data we produce every year doubles. And so, as you know, AI is a very hungry beast for data. The more data we're producing, the more we can train, the more we can leverage AI inside of our organizations and in practical ways for a distributor that can make a material impact on your business. So we're going to give you just a quick short, background, 12 months of what's happened over the past 12 months and some of what we're seeing in the industry with distribution manufacturing companies. And that speed that we saw in the last 12 months, it's only going to continue to accelerate as we head into 2025. Then we're going to get into really the strategies in two different strategies of what we consider to be top-down applications of AI and then bottom-up. And we're going to give you a lot more context to what this means, but this is kind of the difference between the tactical and the strategic. And we're going to give you the mental construct for that. And then we're going to get into really how can we think about a bottom-up, which is a strategic way to start to think about different pillars in your organizations. And yes, obviously returns, warranties, and repairs is a part of that. So take a journey back just about 12 months ago. ChatGPT, I remember I was out at the AI for Distributors conference, their first one, their inaugural one. And they had Zach Cass, who was the previous head of go-to-market for OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. And this was really at the precipice of when generative AI, which is the AI using language processing and communication through natural language, really became available in every consumer's hand, right? Where you could have a conversation with a bot. You could ask it anything, and it was infinitely better than a Google search. And that created this frenzy and this buzz of, well, what can it do? What are the, now that we see that it could create a poem in the voice of Jack Nicklaus if we wanted it, with a spin of Donald Trump, and it could take these unique inputs and produce this wildly accurate output. The promise of AI became very transparent to the world 12 months ago. And that set the foundation for what we're seeing, which is we believe we're really in a little bit of a hype period, right? Where there's a lot of hype, but where's the practicality in it? And that's what we want to do, is try to bring us back down to the practicality and where we could start to implement some of these different pieces of AI inside of a distribution and manufacturing organization, an industry that is somewhat typically known to be a legacy industry. And what's interesting is we believe distribution manufacturing companies have the ability to leapfrog other industries, but more importantly, leapfrog other distributors who aren't taking advantage of these opportunities, which we are just at the very beginning of getting started on. Modern distribution management in April of this year, so just closing out Q1, entering Q2 of this year, they had a survey around the adoption of AI for distributors specifically. And the question was this: what is holding back your organization from taking advantage of AI? There's all this hype, but very limited amount of distributors are actually being able to take advantage of this. Manufacturing, we're seeing a little bit more. If they actually split some of these survey results out by revenue band, by industry, and by distribution and manufacturing. And so we see manufacturers are a little bit more adept to starting to plan and strategize than distributors are. Part of that has to do with the margin performance of a distributor versus a manufacturer. Obviously, a manufacturer with the margin profile has more opportunity to play around and test new things that don't have a surefire output to them. But what's changing is there are technologies at a rate faster than ever before being specifically built and designed for distribution and manufacturing companies to solve age-old and specific challenges inside of these supply chain organizations. And if we look at the number one thing holding back distributors and manufacturers of taking advantage of AI today, the number one by far and away, these results, and obviously this was a multi-select. Some of you are looking at the data and saying, well, these add up to over 100%. There may be more than one factor for each organization for why they're not able yet to take advantage of these AI strategies. Number one, by far and away, was just the pure lack of AI knowledge, right? You understand the outcome, but how do you put the building blocks in place to take advantage of that? Number two, which was still by far and away much higher of an answer than the following, was the lack of qualified staff, right? We see across every vertical within supply chain, distribution, manufacturing, that we still have seasoned veteran employees who've been around for quite some time, and they're used to doing things in a very specific way. And so these two pieces combined really set the stage for the need and the requirement for distributors to partner with companies that have an AI strategy, but also focus on distribution and manufacturing companies. They need to understand your route to market, your ERPs, the way that your customer service, your sales, your warehouse, your finance operates. Because if you don't, a blank AI strategy likely doesn't work. So what you need to do is partner with partners that understand your industry and your market to be able to uncover and really take away these top two concerns when it comes to adopting AI and AI strategies. And so we believe in this is pretty table stakes. This isn't just Continuum that believes this, but if you look at some of the market dominant distribution companies in the world, Grainger, if you look at Westco, I had a conversation with an executive at Westco, and their statements are, we're a technology company that just so happens to sell HVAC products and electrical products. Grainger is notorious for saying, we want to build and own our technologies internally. And so we believe in these companies, these market dominant companies believe it is not just a nice to have anymore. AI is your competitive advantage in distribution and supply chain. When you look at your company, look inside your own four walls, what differentiates you from your competition? 5 years ago, we used to hear our customer experience, our customer service, the speed of delivery in which we can get our products to our customers, our relationships with our customers. These things are no longer going to be the number one asset that make you different from your competition 5 years from today. They just won't be. Yes, the relationships will still matter. Yes, the customer service you provide matters more now than ever before. But what if you break down fundamentally what are the actual unique things that you can do that your competition cannot do? What is that barrier? In distribution, there are just not a lot of them. And it's the reality that we somewhat live in a commodity industry. So your competitive advantage relies on the tools, the technology, and the people that you can enable through that technology to have a competitive advantage, have an edge to the way that you capture market and delight customers. And so that's why the AI strategy and the conversation that we're having right now is so critical to your business moving forward. And so we're going to get into some of these strategies that you can employ inside of your business, and we'll talk through what these are. But it's imperative today, looking forward into 2025, that we're laying this groundwork together as an industry and setting the stage for what our businesses look like moving forward into 2030 and beyond. So we have a quick poll before we move on. We like to break up the conversation quite a bit. Matt, why don't you get us kicked off with the first question?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. That was a great introduction into the importance of AI today, guys. It is a strategic advantage, and we've spent a lot of time on building out some resources for you guys. While I talk a little bit about that, I'm going to launch this poll. It's just a question about uh, AI readiness, right? To what degree is your company implementing AI today? So jump in there. Let us know what you think. We're getting some poll results already. I'll share those at the end of the webinar. I'm excited to do that. But as we talked about, AI readiness is something that distributors really struggle with, and manufacturers alike. We are an industry that needs to digitize, and the best of the best are doing just that. And so we put together a bunch of resources on our website about AI readiness, some articles and some videos there that you can take advantage of, specifically around this area that is unique to distribution, right? Data management, training your teams, and the executive strategy as it relates to your business. So I encourage you to go check out those resources. We've got a pretty good section of folks participating in the poll. We have about 50%. I'll let you guys continue to fill that out. And like I said, we'll share the results at the end here, but I'll turn it back over to Alex. We'll jump into part two.
Yeah, shoot, I am that survey result. I'm super curious in. When we were at the AI for Distributors conference last month, the second one they hosted, so often distributors sat in the category of we're interested, but we don't know where to start, right? And so they sat in like they're just past the stage of like awareness and like, but how do I actually get started on this? And so that's what we're going to jump into now is really how is a business in the supply chain, distribution, manufacturing, very tenured employees, somewhat maybe outdated systems. You could be running on an AS400 ERP. You could have a lack of documented process. What are the things that you can do today to start to set yourself up so that you're in position to take advantage of these AI advancements that are happening in the industry? And so what we like to do, and the way that we frame thinking about your business in distribution, is there's two different strategies. The first one is top down, and we're going to go deep into this. And the second one is bottom up. And when you think about the two and you segregate them, let's first go deep in the top down. A top down initiative inside of your organization would be the focus to optimize an existing process, right? So you look across your business and you say, oh, I see people doing a manual task. right? And that task is taking them too long. How can I optimize whatever it is that they're doing so that we're more efficient as a business, right? And I would say most of distributors are still in this world of optimization. And how can I look at existing processes, existing departments, and how can I make them more lean? How can I make them more efficient and refocus these people and these activities to areas that are going to drive my business forward? And so examples of things like this would be accounts receivable automation or accounts payable automation, right? So I'll give you an example. I see a team entering invoices manually, keystroking it. And so I believe there is a better way. Rather than having five people do that, I could take four and focus them on other things that are going to move my business forward and just leave one with automation and technologies behind it. And so when you look at your top down initiatives, like we talked about accounts payable, we'll talk through some other opportunities there. It's important that there's a couple different pieces that your partners have. One is they need data connectivity, right? So whatever that data process is that they're performing, whether it's a CRM, whether it's pricing optimization, whether it's purchasing solutions like Blue Ridge, whatever that technology is that you're looking at, the first thing is you should be asking your partner, what is the AI strategy that this partner has, right? So if they can't clearly articulate to you what their AI strategy is, you should really be looking for a different vendor. And that's just the reality of it, because there's all of that process that they're replicating or they're doing. That data and the decision making behind it is so important that you need access to those data points. So that goes to the data connectivity. And this will drive into some of the bottom up innovation that you can make inside of your business. But when we look at top down, it's, hey, how can we optimize what we're currently doing? Look for repetitive tasks inside of the business that we can reduce errors. We can get humans out of that process. And that's important. That's key. These partners, when you're looking at this top-down strategy, need to have an AI strategy and need to have data connectivity to their technologies to be able to leverage. Companies in the supply chain, distribution, manufacturing, have lived here for a very long time. And when you talk to a distributor or manufacturer today, so often they're focused in their projects on these activities and these actions because there is so much that is ripe for optimization inside of your business. A distributor has a operationally intensive business. So there is so much that can be done here that it's easy to focus here and spend all of your time here. But what that does, especially when you're talking about at your executive level, you should be thinking in the next phase, especially in 2024, as AI starts to advance and move on. I understand these are important. Continuum helps with top-down applications, looking at existing processes. But it's the step beyond that that's going to unlock you to differentiate you from your competition. So we can go deep and talk through different technologies that are automating and optimizing current processes. But when this becomes the tipping point between when there are winners and when there are losers in the supply chain is once you can tip technologies from a top down to a bottom up initiative. So what is that bottom up initiative? When you think about a bottom up initiative, this is a strategic advantage that your company has. If you think about an accounts payable automation or a pricing optimization or a purchasing system, it's not one of your strategic initiatives. It's a tactical initiative. It's a tactical initiative to eliminate manual labor, to reduce errors in your business. But when we want to talk about how can your business look different from the competition, it's the bottom up strategic initiatives that we're talking about. And so when we think about bottom up, we're saying, how can you take a department and actually fundamentally transform the way it looks? Now, it may sound crazy, like, oh, actually, I'm going to get rid of my freight costs because I can do short radius drone deliveries. But are you thinking through the areas and the pillars in your business that could fundamentally be transformed? And that's the way that the world is moving, is how can you set yourself up to be able to take advantage of things that sound a little crazy today, but in 5 years will not be. And so every department that you look at from a top down, you should then look bottom up. What does this department need to look like 5 years from now? Where we spend our time at Continuum is how do we eliminate choke points in the customer experience with manual people having to do processes and coordinate across the whole business? And how can we long term think about transforming the returns world to a world that is actually fundamentally different in the department, different than it is today? And so when you think about different areas inside of your business that you could think about, oh, top down, bottom up, a strategic initiative, these things, we're going to get into some tactical areas where you could start to think about how you can bottom up and how you could start to get a heat map of the areas in your business that have the opportunity for this. The number one piece, if we talk about it, is data connectivity, to be able to get these bottom up insights of where can you strategically make advances in your business using AI. So take a white sheet of paper, look at your sales organization, look at your CSR organization, look at your finance organization. If you were not to reorg, but if you were going to start over, how would that department look? What would the processes that they do be? Would they spend their time with a face in their ERP, or would they be focusing on solving problems, strategic initiatives? And would they be leveraging data points that are coming to them, telling them things that maybe they didn't know? That's the difference between a top-down initiative and a bottom-up. And a lot of times, I mentioned this, distributors spend so much time in the top-down, and it matters because it's going to help get you efficiency gains, especially when we're talking about very tight margins, right? But it's the bottom-up and the partners that you have around you that are going to help you change the way you're looking at that department inside of your business. And so when we look at the top down versus bottom up, this is a mental construct that you can use inside of your business that I think might be helpful. So we look at third-party input, right? So when you look at Continuum, when you look at a CRM like Proton.ai or SalesEye or whatever the CRM is that you're looking at or you're leveraging, when you're looking at your pricing solutions, when you're looking at your purchasing solutions like Blue Ridge, you need the right partners that are helping you with data connectivity and AI initiatives from your third-party partners, right? We believe when you look to do top-down initiatives, how do we optimize and streamline single departments or processes? It is likely for distributors best to go third party, right? Companies that have experience in the supply chain, experience with your ERP, experience managing these processes. The output of that data is they're going to be able to map your processes likely better than you can, right? Based off of their machines, if they've built the system right to be able to say, here's your rate of wins. If you're talking about a CRM, here is your rate of order fulfillment. Here's your rate of return benchmarked against the rest of the industry by product line, by vendor. And coming to you with this data, and again, data connectivity. And so when we think about top down, this is really, I think, where you can look externally inside of your vendor partners and say, how can they help me with these top down initiatives? When we think bottom up, I think that's really where you have the opportunity to leverage tools, technology, and strategies that are specific to your business and your business only. If you have the right partners here, what you can do, and this is one of the strategies that I've personally pushed for, I think going back 10 years ago, was talking about data lakes. So you have data in all of these different systems. Yeah, your ERP is your source of truth. Yes. But how much data lives in your CRM that doesn't live in your ERP? There's plenty of it. How much data lives in your pricing technology that doesn't live in your ERP? Maybe only the final baked price gets pushed, but all the decisions that took to get there were not included in your ERP, right? Only thing that gets pushed to your ERP, whether it's Profit 21, whether it's Eclipse, whether it's SAP, whether it's Oracle, is a final baked transaction, not everything else that happens. Just like if you have a CRM, you're not sending all of the process and the quote revisions that you had in the sales process that you had to drive to get to a final sale, right? Only thing that gets put there is a baked transaction. And so when you look at these third-party systems, they have an immense amount of data around how are decisions being made and what is happening to get to the baked final transaction that ends up in the ERP. And that is the data that so many distributors are missing to be able to scale, right? And so once you have this data connectivity, what you could do with your third-party partners and your technologies that are doing top-down innovation or top-down optimization is start to feed that data into a data lake to now leverage widely known and available AI technologies. And this is a strategy that almost every distributor, doesn't matter your revenue size, has the capability and ability to do. Are you pushing these data points that exist here to a data lake or a data warehouse that can, with fairly unstructured data, recognize patterns and trends inside of your business? And so when we look at this is your CRM data, time from open opportunity to close, if you're working in a quote-driven type of business. How is data from your pricing strategy? How are those decisions made? What are the data inputs? The emails that go across your organization, all of the data that goes into that decision making. Feed that into a data lake, and now you can leverage technologies that are available. I know most distributors run on Microsoft stack. So you could put the data in Microsoft Azure. Hosting costs are fairly limited today. You can then, what you could do with this data is you could deploy Gemini, Microsoft Gemini, across this data to start to help knowledge transfer inside of your own organization so that people could say, they can ask it a question and say, hey, how is this decision being made inside of our business? You can buy your own access to ChatGPT and sync it up to this data warehouse. There's technologies like Confluence, which allow you to document your current processes. You could, instead of having to manually document these, leverage the technologies that already are watching the way you're making decisions, watching the way things are moving inside of your organization, feed them into your own data lake, and now start to leverage AI. And again, you don't have to develop your own AI models. It helps if you do, but there are already out of the box available models that you can link up to any data set that you have, as long as you give it a core database to look at, read, and learn from. Now, a machine learning, or if you look at a data scientist, they're not cheap. But if you look at that role and you take, let's say you're a 25 million, $50 million distribution organization, you can afford someone to own your AI strategy, to adopt this process and start to glean insights about your own business. What this will allow you to do is onboard new members of your staff much, much quicker. One of the biggest gaps distributors have is so much of the product knowledge is technical. So much of the industry is, well, you had to be in it for so long to know it. We are now in a world where you could start to take all of the digital exhaust that lives in your technologies, start to feed it into a machine learning model, and you could start to learn and grow your organization in knowledge transfer throughout and have AI telling you, hey, what are ways that I can optimize my business? What are strategies that we can deploy? And this allows you to really start to differentiate yourself from your competition. So this is a mental construct that I was really ahead of where AI was 10 years ago when I was pushing kind of the data lake model and how you can take massive amounts of data sets. But today it's actually feasible to execute on this type of strategy if you have the right partners around the table with you and you have the right alignment inside of your organization. So we have another poll question, and then stick around to the end. We have the AI readiness assessment, which we're actually going to send out here at the end. So stick around. It's an awesome tool for you to use inside of your organization to really get an idea and a pulse check of where you're at as a business. We have another poll question, and then we're going to go deep into the returns, warranties, and repairs process for distributors and where that can fit, both in top down, but also bottom up initiatives that you have in your business.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. We just launched the poll here, optimize or innovate. So we talked about some real practical applications. So many times we think about AI as powering a customer-facing chatbot or, one of these things that are the more obvious solutions. And yet we're in an era where there are innumerable possibilities. And I hope that some of the content that Alex just shared helps spark some ideas about how to implement some of the more innovative ways that you can differentiate yourself from the competition. So it looks like we have our results coming in here, and we're just going to give that another minute to get everybody a chance to answer. But as we turn the corner here on our next section, we're going to talk about how this specifically relates to returns management. So I know you guys are excited to learn a little bit more about Continuum and some of the solutions that we've built around reverse logistics. So we'll just go ahead and close the poll here. And again, I'll share these results at the end of our session. Take it away, Alex.
Awesome. So when we look at returns, warranties, and repairs, we have an opportunity to do something which is pretty unique, and that is take a process that is pretty costly, right? And how do we actually not just turn so many technologies, especially when you look when you look at a top-down initiative for optimization, really what we're looking at doing is saying, hey, there's a cost center here. How do I reduce this cost center so that it's still going to be red, right? It's still going to be a cost center, but how can we take it from this much cost down to this cost, right? And that's what that top-down mindset really is how can I be more efficient inside of this process or this department that we have inside of our organization, okay? What's really interesting, and I think where we have the promise of AI inside of distribution manufacturing is to not just take cost centers and turn them into, less of a cost center, but turn something that's red and flip it to black. Now that is an idea that will get your executive team excited, right? And that's the promise of where AI is going. So when we look at supply chain in the reverse logistics, right? In reverse logistics is a broad term for returns, warranties, and repairs. Anything that moves back up the supply chain. So the first step is we have to top down. We have to optimize the process. Today, returns, warranties are all email, phone based. There's really no digital exhaust besides a baked transaction that gets put in your ERP. Was it a defective item? Do I need to get a credit from a manufacturer? So many data points go into how you handle a return today or a warranty claim, and none of it has really any digital exhaust. And so when we look at the returns and warranties process, the first thing is let's get digital exhaust around it. Because what the promise, once we do the top down optimization, the promise for how we can go bottom up innovation is incredible. So when you look at an end user here, so I'd say most of you on this call are distributors. We have a couple manufacturers. But if you look at the process of a return through the supply chain, let's just take, for example, a Milwaukee Tool sells to a distributor who sells to an end user. Okay. That end user in this world typically is a business, right? Whether it's a contractor, some sort of OEM, MRO, that is typically a business. So we're talking B to B to B. Well, that end user, let's say it's a defective item. Okay. They're like, hey, Mr. Distributor, I need to return this item. It's actually defective. This distributor has a catch-22 decision to make. Do I give credit to my end user now, or do I wait to get credit from Milwaukee Tool before I go credit my end user, right? Either way is a suboptimal outcome. I'm either holding all of the risk, giving credit to my end user, now hoping and making sure that I can get credit from my manufacturer, or I'm telling my customer, no, Mr. Customer, please wait, right? Let me go get my credit from my manufacturer first. And then the output is potential AR invoice disputes and challenges all over the place. And so what we do is we optimize the multi-tier supply chain through the reverse logistics, connecting end user through distributor, automating into the ERP, and connecting the manufacturer to make sure that we're getting vendor credits throughout the entire process, and connecting and making sure we tie out customer credits versus vendor credits, and there's no bottom line gap in that area. The promise once you achieve this is, what happens if you have a stocking return that you send to a manufacturer and they deny it? You're sitting on dead inventory. Like if you're a multi-warehouse distributor on this call, if you have 5, 6 warehouse locations, you try to optimize by doing inventory transfers. And then any excess inventory, you're going to try to return it to your manufacturer. Well, once I return to a manufacturer and they deny it, what do I do with that dead inventory? Well, how can we push that to marketplaces in other places around the world that have a desire for that product? So the return initiates really what it will end up being, dead inventory. If you take it a level down, end user returns a product to a distributor. Let's say it's a non-stock item. It was a drop ship item. Either you have to make a decision, you're going to take this back into inventory, or you're going to deny a return to your end user. And so when we look at innovation inside of the reverse logistics process, it's really around this. How do we turn what is a cost center and not only just reduce how much cost there is, but how do we transform the entire reverse logistics, the entire returns, warranties, and repairs process for the multi-tier supply chain of manufacturer, distributor to an end user who's a business? And that's the ultimate promise of AI, is how can we change fundamentally the way that we think about this specific process inside of our business. So step one is, yes, today it's all email, phone based. It needs to have digital exhaust to be able to achieve the promise of reverse logistics, which means we need to have this in a system that is capturing the digital exhaust and the process through the return process. Who's engaged to approve a return? Is it different by vendor line? When do I engage a manufacturer to get approval? If it's a drop ship, if it's a defective, all of that data needs to be captured, and you're going to reduce your bottom line costs associated to returns. That's super interesting. That's very exciting. But the really exciting piece to this is step two, when we can innovate the entire process of returns and returns management, when we can look at this and say, hey, how can we take returns and let's just redistribute that throughout the country, whether it's an end user and ship that somewhere else, or I have dead inventory that I got a denied return from a manufacturer, or a manufacturer accepts a return, but they don't want to pay for the logistics. Can we go resell that through the network of Continuum or whatever else you may have there's in the market to be able to execute that? And so at Continuum, we look at this and say, we are intentional about being built as a network to be able to not only connect the decisions up the supply chain, but how do we repurpose these products and turn what is a red into a black? And that is how distributors win. Is in 2025, when we look at how distributors are going to win heading into 2030, is companies that are saying, not just how do I optimize, but what is my strategy for this singular process? This one process in my business, how am I going to innovate it? Because if you're not looking at each part of your business, each department, every activity that happens, the number of transactions, how is that going to be innovated moving into 2030? The companies that aren't doing that, unfortunately, are going to be the ones that are on the side of either getting acquired or going out of business. Everyone on this call wants to be on the opposite side of that. And so, obviously it's not just the returns piece. You should be doing that in every single one of your departments and every process, a bottom up, drains up. How can we innovate this process as we look forward into the future? And so we have one more poll, and stick around because Matt's going to drop the link to the AI readiness assessment, which I think a lot of you are really going to enjoy. Your team as well, being able to distribute that out to your leadership group. So Matt, kick us off with the third poll question.
Yeah, the last poll question is, how are returns most negatively impacting your company? So, Alex talked a little bit about the optimization. He talked about some really innovative things that we're doing to really revolutionize reverse logistics for wholesale distribution. And this question just kind of really it hits home on the cost. Really, you start to think about the answers here, and you realize the cost. And we have a great resource again at our website called The True Cost of B2B Returns. It's interesting because it's unlike other returns content out there. It talks specifically about the inherent complexity of wholesale distribution. The nature of the transactions involved, multi-departments, multiple companies involved, different types of warranties, and it really helps you understand the costs of returns beyond just the financial numbers that you're able to pull. There's some hidden costs as well, and we uncover those in that document. So go and check that out. You can download that at resources.gocontinuum.ai. And we're going to close the poll here.
I'll say this. So the one thing that I think we're afforded to say, which other platforms wouldn't, is so the reason that we can consider a warranty claim the same as the return, where if you think about your business, you're saying, well, warranty claim is completely different. And the reason that we really can wrap them up into the same is because we inherently think about a return as a multi-party process, right? You have an end user, distributor, and manufacturer who potentially, not always, potentially need to be engaged and integrate to multiple systems and connect the supply chain that way. And so it's important that, yes, there is a distinction, but through our technology and our platform, we can really consider them to be the same thing inside of your business. So when you think about returns, warranties, repairs, they all have the same component, which is you have an end user, you have you, and potentially any other third party involved, whether it's a carrier, because it's a carrier claim, your manufacturer, or a repair facility. And how do we all coordinate on what we consider to be a multi-party process and make sure we're all on the same page with the customer at the focal point?
All right, awesome. And we're going to be wrapping this up here in just a few minutes. We have one small section left. I'm super interested to learn more about Continuum. So we're going to pass it back to Alex. He's going to tell us more about Continuum, and then I'm going to share the poll question results and the link to the assessment right after he's finished.
Well, I think we've touched on a decent bit of Continuum, but if you think about the actual product set that we deploy, is we talked about the first thing you need to do is have digital exhaust across every piece of it, so that of the processes. When we think about, or we look and we talk to our customers, There's typically one or two people in the business that really have all the tribal knowledge is related to returns. Oh, well, this manufacturer, if it's defective, I like to go to them first to make sure we can get our credit back first. But for this manufacturer, we operate different. We're going to wait. We're going to wait until we actually get the credit. Or this one, we'll just take the product back. We'll give credit because we know this manufacturer is good for it. Or maybe there's a product manager that needs to be involved. All these little decision points that sit inside of a couple people's ears today need to have digital exhaust around it so that if they leave the business, they win the lottery. I like to use that one over getting hit by a bus because it has the positive connotation to it. They win the lottery and they leave your business tomorrow. How can you still, move forward in this process and deliver a great customer experience? And so, when we look at a return, a warranty claim, or repair, we look at that as your customer has a critical selling event, right? That is actually, whether it's defective or they just don't want it, it's a critical selling event. And so how do we give them the ability to self-serve these returns as if it was Amazon, but handle all of the complexity that exists on the back end? So let the customer meet the customer where they are, allow them to initiate it however they want, email if they still want to, go to your website and clearly just 1, 2, 3 clicks, create a return and handle all of your unique business logic about where that product should go, how it should get there. Should it be sent directly back to a vendor? Who do we need to engage, whether it's internally or externally, through a system of record that can track and manage all these decision points? And as you have that digital exhaust, you can learn your process to automate and optimize the decision points that are being made and ultimately refocus your team on things that are going to move the business forward. All the meanwhile, making sure you're not missing vendor credits, making sure there's never customer AR invoice disputes related to these items, and having a partner that long-term is looking at how can we turn a cost center and let's flip that and move these to our network of redistribution partners to turn that cost center into a profit center. If you look at your dead inventory that you try to return to your vendor that you get denied, where can we push that out to? A denied customer return, a defective item. Where's the refurb network to make sure that we are turning cost center into a profit center? So stick around. We're going to go through these. We're going to go through these poll questions. I'm super excited to hear the answers, just the kind of the percentage breakdown, Matt. I know we still have 222 people on, so this was incredible. It was awesome to have everyone here. I'm excited to stick around. Let's get these results of the polls, and then if you stick around, Matt's going to drop a link to our AI readiness assessment.
All right, thanks, man. Let's take a look at some of these answers. So just want to make sure that you guys can see that. Yep, Alex, good?
Yep, I got it.
All right. This is the first question that we asked. Are you ready? So overwhelmingly, looks like we have at least one active initiative. That's it's like 40%, 28% that we said we are evaluating AI opportunities, and 26% said we have 2 or more active initiatives.
Wow.
So
It's in the last 12 months that has changed drastically, right? Especially when we're at the conference. I mean, so many, I would have guessed that most companies were sitting and they were evaluating some ideas, but to have at least one underway, I mean, you could see the market moving certainly in that direction. I mean, especially with almost 40% sitting at two initiatives.
I think what we've seen in the industry is that there's been a lot of talk about AI, and I think it's starting to pay off here. Folks are really starting to implement this in their business. The next one is the next one is actually optimize or innovate. This is the second question that we asked. Top down seems to be actually the majority here, 47%. Equally as important, optimization and innovation, that was 34%, and only 19% said bottom up innovation. So Alex, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I think it's hard because when we're dealing with, I mean, distribution and manufacturing companies is one of the oldest industries. I mean, since we were trading horses, right? You're a distributor, you're selling grain, you're selling feed. It's one of the oldest industries, right? And when you've been around that long and in processes are ingrained, you hear it from the industry as we've done it this way for so long. And it's hard to take a step outside of your own four walls and look at it and be like, okay, I'm gonna completely men in black my brain here and forget everything I know about this process that we do it in the way that we do it today. Let's do it differently. And we have a customer, and I, I'm super excited. The one of their leaders comes from Virgin Airlines, which is completely different industry, and the way he thinks about things, and the way that he rationalizes different things, and the way he sets up strategies is just different because he's from outside the industry. Now, kudos to him for having the grit to kind of dig in and learn this industry. But I think the more that we can kind of surround ourselves with new talent, younger talent, talent from other markets, other industries, I think we're going to start to get more bottom up thought processes, which is critical to making sure that we're on the winning side in 2030 as these acquisitions are happening.
Awesome. This is the last one, Alex. I'm just speeding through here because I know we only have a few minutes left. The question was, how are returns most negatively impacting your company? So the number one answer here was lack of clear processes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then too much labor. And I think that's consistent what we've seen as we've been talking to different organizations.
Yeah. What else do we have? Return. How many people said returns are not a problem? Returns and warranties do not have a negative. Was it 11%? Okay. That's so I would have actually guessed it was more than 11% would have said, hey, we don't have a problem. Because so many companies are like, it's just been a problem for so long, returns and warranties instead of a distribution organization. It's been this way for so long. And then it takes a process of actually going through and uncovering, oh my gosh, we do have invoice disputes because of this. Oh my gosh, we are missing vendor credits. And the lack of a clear process, I mean, the number of companies that we engage when we say, hey, do you have a documented returns process? I think one of our customers out of all of them have actually said, yeah, we've documented it. It's very well defined. That's pretty typical, right? Because it's usually been a hodgepodge of processes mixed together by a handful of people inside of your business. It's never really been an area where you say, hey, I actually have a strategic way that we could rethink and change fundamentally our business through this. And so yeah, the results don't shock me. But it's good to see so many people have recognized there are some challenges there.
Awesome. So, guys, thank you for sticking around to the end. If you did, we really appreciate it. Like I said at the beginning, we have 12 free lunches coming to some folks here at the end. If you are one of the 12, you will get an email from me. My email is matt@gocontinuum.ai. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to figure out where to send that gift card to you. And as we mentioned, I will be emailing the link to this AI readiness quiz. So if you stay to the end, you will get this link. Like Alex said, this is a great tool to share with your leadership team. As you guys get together the second half of this year, this is an important topic to put on the table as you guys think about strategically implementing AI.
Matt, you dropping this in the chat?
I can't drop it in the chat.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm going to email it to everybody who attended today. So you're going to get that from me after we hang up today. But I just want to thank Alex for taking the time to lead us through this. Alex, any closing thoughts from you?
None. I'd be curious if there's any questions from the group, and we still have almost 200 attendees on. If there's anything we can answer for you, whether it's Continuum specific, some of the things we're seeing in the supply chain, we'd be happy to answer any of these. I know we have another minute left, so if there's anything that comes in would be happy to answer that. If not, we'll hang out for a couple seconds but appreciate everyone hanging on. This was an awesome session. Appreciate it. Great.
All right, great. There was just a couple of questions about the gift card. Like I mentioned, you do not have to fill out the survey. The survey is for your business. It's a tool that we've created. But like I said, we will be emailing the winners of the gift card, and we'll be sending a link to this webinar on demand. You can go check that out later, share that with your team, as well as some other resources that are related to today's topic. So again, we're gonna wrap it up here. This will be it for us. Thank you for attending. We're excited to be on this journey with you to innovate from the heart of the supply chain. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.